This is Duke University.
Wang.
James, I heard the voice of a classmate of mine, whose nickname is Potato, in the break of my 5th grade classroom. James, I think you are faking it. A fire gathered in my stomach, shot up straight into my head and suffocating my head, which was already deprived of oxygen. I strode directly to his desk, picked up his metal pencil case, tossed in the air, and walked away. I do not need to turn back my head to imagine the stunning looks that my classmate will have after the drop of the pencil case, because I know that I have broken the most important code of conduct in China: discipline. You see, in China, where I come from, discipline is the highest honor. In government, party leaders use the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection to eradicate their political enemies. In education, students are offered this mandatory military training for a week in their freshman orientation in college and high school. We stand in the sun, facing the sun for hours without moving, to practice our subordination to teachers and commanders. And in a 5th grade classroom, order and unity as a class became the most important thing that teacher relies on to control the whole class. Yet, around my 5th grade, discipline became the hardest ideal that I have to maintain in my life. Because around that time, I got diagnosed with this disease called allergic rhinitis. Now, let me tell you what allergic rhinitis really is. Rhinitis is feeling like having a cold, but for the entire pollen season. Rhinitis is constantly sneezing and having a runny nose whenever I get into contact with pollen. Rhinitis is wearing a face mask and carrying pockets of tissues. Unused tissue in one pocket, used tissue soaked in another. Rhinitis is turning and tossing through the sleepless night, gasping for breath when my stuffy nose failed to breathe in sufficient oxygen. During the allergy season, I didn't go to school every day. Sometimes I was just too sick to even step outside. All I wanted to do was to lie on my couch to watch some TV show for the entire day. I lost a lot of motivations. And when I do go to school, things didn't work out as well. My classmates at first, they thought it was funny to see a guy sneezing unstopped during middle of the class. And whenever someone was in need of tissues, they knew who to ask. However, as they start to realize that it's not a one-day thing, they became more leery at me and turned their back against me. James, are you sure that it's not contagious? James, how come you didn't do your homework again? You don't look that sick. And my teachers, when I walk into a classroom late in the morning after a sleepless night, my teacher, in the middle of her lecture, paused. She looked at me. I can see her face dropped. James, please be mindful of your personal hygiene. You know, you have to clean your drawer every day. Around that time, I felt so lonely. All I wanted was friends, but everyone was turning their back against me, treating me like a criminal, like a social outcast. I have done nothing wrong. What was happening? During the day of the pencil case incident, I was feeling particularly sick and moody. And that was when I heard, James, I think you are faking it. Potato walked past me without even lowering his eyes at me. You fake that you are sick just because you want attention, don't you? A fire suddenly gathered in my stomach. I clenched my teeth and sniffed in my snivel. I cannot bear it anymore. I I strode directly to his desk on the other side of the classroom and snatched his metal pencil case. At that moment, all my pain of the past weeks and the frustration to fitting to prove that I am nothing but normal catalyzed. I snatched his metal pencil case, tossed it in the air as high as I could, and walked away. It was the longest second in my life waiting for the drop of the pencil case. I was somewhat scared, but more thrilled. I was thrilled of escaping all orders and expectations, thrilled to release my true feeling to this unfriendly world, and thrilled to enjoy this even fleeting moment of freedom from my haunting disease. Bang! It was so destructive, so rebellious, it was mellifluous cacophony. Wah! The broken pencil scattering all across the floor, kids from everywhere were skulking at this incident. Potato saw it too. With his bloodshot eye, he rushed directly at me, charged at me. We engaged at each other. I tried to put all my anger and frustration into my arm, tried to beat him down. Yet, as soon as I got into contact with him, I was outpowered. The chronic illness weakened my muscle. I got pushed into a pile of desks. I stood up, put out a boxing stance, and decided to fight him until the end of the day. Stop it. James, you know what you're doing, don't you? Stop it. The injunction of my teacher was like the final whistle of a soccer game, a bucket of ice-cold water dumping on my head. I froze. James, stay after school and call your mom here. After school, my mom came. My teacher and her had this long conversation one-on-one in the classroom while letting me to wait outside. It was dark out already. I stood outside, staring at the traffic light, the fleeting light of the passing cars on the street. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. I just want to go home. It was no time to care about my physical discomfort. Contrition and anxiety filled my heart. Look, I have just lost my control in that brief second. How much trouble had I got myself into? How much trouble had I got my mom into? I'm such a horrible person. What have I done? My mom finally came out. She grabbed my hand and we walked home without speaking a word. At the dinner table, my mom went off completely. Don't you know how to behave? Haven't I told you what to do at school? Do you know how humiliated I was facing a teacher one-on-one? My tear was rushing down my cheek, mixing up with my runny nose. I could not remember exactly what my mom said that day, but I do remember the taste of the food that night. It was late and I was hungry, but the food was harder to chew than medicine pills. Years later, I got much more healthier. However, the ghost of rhinitis didn't just stop haunting me by that night. During my 8th grade, the headache and insomnia made me almost impossible to concentrate to prepare for my TOEFL exam. During my high school tennis career, I was sometimes just too sick, too weak to even finish a tennis match. However, after the fight, I gradually learned to control myself. For TOEFL, I made a systematic plan to manage my stress and efficiency and to finish the test on time and did a good job. For tennis, I sought encouragement from my teammates and urged from my coach to carry on every game and do my best. Look, there are things that I could not control. My body can betray me. My friends can turn away from me. My teacher can judge me, and even my mom can misunderstand me. These are the things that I could not control. But the way how I react to these was the key. the only thing that I can control is myself. Let no one, nothing, hinder my ability to maintain my discipline. Thank you.